Rumor has it that every Halloween during the hours of 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. there exists a void. You must stand in front of a mirror in a pitch-black room with your gaze fixated on the mirror. If you remain in the room when the moment arrives, you will feel a chill seize your body. Place your right hand on the mirror and whisper, "I accept." If done correctly, in the mirror, there will be a faint image of an infant with no flesh and pitch-black eyes. He will stare directly into your soul, and you will hear the buzzing of flies and nervous whispering. You will not be able to make out the image in the mirror, but you will be filled with unspeakable terror. The infant will ask you 5 questions about events that have occurred within your life. His voice will sound like the rubbing of sandpaper and will be devoid of all human emotion. For each question that you answer incorrectly, one of your 5 senses will be consumed and lost to you forever. For each question that is answered correctly, you will be able to recite the name of someone you know. That person will be found dead the next morning with their flesh removed and their eyes missing. Look behind you. What do you see? Invariably, there will be a wall somewhere in your view. Now stare deeply into the space on the wall that lines up best with your eyes. Nothing will happen, but make sure you are clear on where this particular spot is. That spot contains all the negativity in your mind. Whenever you are on your computer, reading scary stories, or whatever you do, sometimes you will get spooked. What do you do when this happens? You check behind you. That's what you do. As you read this now, a feeling of dread will come over you. Check the spot. Nothing again, huh? That's because right now, all the evil is locked safely in your mind. Some people, upon learning of this negative spot, resolve to remove the spot in an attempt to remove the negative energy. This is a grave mistake. You must never let harm come to this spot. If you do, you will have released the energy. Now, when you sit at your computer at night, you will feel chills, even in the summertime. The feeling of dread that only presented itself when you were genuinely scared will now hang in the air constantly. Within a week, you and your loved ones will have a string of bad luck. Within a month, your computer will begin to act erratic and eventually break down. On the anniversary of the spot's destruction, you will dream your most horrible fears. The dream will seem to go on forever, and when you wake up, you will notice your vision has darkened. Every year, on the same day, the dream will repeat itself, and your vision will grow darker and darker. After you go completely blind, don't ever turn your back on that spot again. That is, if you can still tell where it is. My aunt and uncle moved into a new house. I was staying with them for a week, but I got a weird vibe about their house. I was sleeping in the attic, and around 3 a.m. I woke up to find my 6-year-old cousin standing next to me in bed. He started telling me about his imaginary friend Maury. The next day when I asked his parents about it, they told me he didn't have an imaginary friend when they lived in the previous house, and they decided to ask him about it. But he said they had no idea what they were talking about. The next night around 3 a.m. I woke up again to find my little cousin staring at me. He kept repeating over and over, "Why'd you tell? Why'd you tell? Why'd you tell?" I tried to talk to him, and he started telling me about how Maury would appear in his dreams at night and eat his dinner with the family when they were at the table. I asked him how he met Maury, and he told me that Maury came to him and asked him if he could come inside him. He said, "Yeah, sure, come on in." That's when Maury started to come to his bedside every night and talk to him. The next day I told his parents, but they didn't believe me. They thought I was making it up. On my final night in the house, I was awoken by a faint thumping under my bed. At this point I was very scared, but I worked up enough courage to peek under my bed. I found my little cousin hiding under there. "I'm protecting you from Maury," he said. "He can't trust you and he needs you gone. Maury won't hurt you if I protect you." Those were the last words I heard him say. I ran faster than I ever have before and made it at least 3 blocks down the road before my aunt and uncle caught up with me and begged me to stop. They asked me what had happened, and when I told them, they didn't believe me. When we walked back up to the house and went upstairs, my cousin was in his bed, sound asleep. I left the next morning and I never went back.
5 days ago, I came home from a long day at work and sat down in front of the TV. I was so tired that I fell asleep. By the time I woke up, it was around 2:30 in the morning. The television was still on, but all that was on the screen was the test pattern and an annoying high-pitched tone. I was about to turn it off and go to bed when something very strange happened. Suddenly, the colored bars disappeared and the screen was filled with static. Through the white noise, I could make out an image. It gradually became clearer and I realized it was news footage of a train crash. In the corner of the screen was a caption that read, "NNN News Broadcast." I had never heard of it before and I wondered what was going on. A long list of names scrolled slowly down the screen, while gloomy music played in the background. A low, monotone voice read out each name, one by one. Just then I thought I heard my name being read out, and a chill ran down my spine. This went on for at least another 5 minutes or so until the voice announced, "These are tomorrow's victims. Good night." The music stopped, the picture faded black to static, and I sat on the sofa wondering what I had just seen. That night I was too disturbed to sleep. All night I tossed and turned, thinking about the strange news broadcast. When the morning arrived, I called my boss and told him I was too sick to come into work. Shortly before 9 a.m., the train I usually take to work came off the rails. I saw the news report on TV. Almost 60 people were killed in the crash. Ever since then, I've been too scared to leave my house, and I can't bring myself to watch TV at night.
I was staying in my aunt's house when I saw my 4-year-old cousin April sitting on the stairs. She was making funny faces. I asked her what she was doing, and she said, "Well, I'm copying the lady with the braid." But there was no one else there, so I asked, "Well, where is this lady, April?" She pointed up at a beam running parallel to the stairwell. "And what's this lady doing?" I asked. "Well, she's making funny faces," April replied. I was about to go upstairs when April said something that stopped me in my tracks. "Her braid, it's around her neck." I asked what she meant. April pointed up and said, "The lady is hanging by her braid. She's making funny faces at me." Then April started making a face. Her eyes were wide and bugged out. Her mouth hung open and her tongue stuck out. I realized it was the face of someone who was being strangled to death. When I was just a baby, my older sister Julia had an imaginary friend named Jessica. She said when Jessica got mad, her eyes turned green and her voice grew deeper. She was Julia's friend for a long, long time. But then things started to get a little weird. After a while, my parents began to believe that our house was haunted. One night, my mom was putting me to bed, and I began to cry and point at the corner. My mom tried to comfort me, but I kept crying and pointing at the same corner. All of a sudden, my sister walked into the room, pointed at the corner, and yelled, "Jessica, stop it!" I immediately stopped crying, and Julia said, "Sometimes Jessica likes to put on scary masks and scare people." My mom was a little freaked out and said, "Well, tell Jessica that if she can't play nice, she can't play here at all." Eventually, my sister Julia outgrew her imaginary friend and stopped mentioning her. A few years later, my little sister Abby began to talk. She told my mom that she had a friend that no one else could see. She said her imaginary friend's eyes turned green when she was upset, and her voice got a little bit deeper. My mother asked her what her imaginary friend's name was, and she replied, "Jessica."
In the shadows, there lurks someone who wants to kill you. I am warning you because I want you to know that someone is me. I want to kill you more than anything in this world. I want to see you die. Why do I want to kill you? That's a fair question, but I don't want to answer that. It's enough that I want you to know that I want to kill you. You don't need to know why. When do I want to kill you? That's easy. All the time. When am I going to kill you? That's another matter entirely. I haven't decided yet. I may not know until I do it. That way, I can claim temporary insanity. You don't know who I am. You don't know where I come from. You don't know anything about me. But now you know who I really am. I am a murderer and a fiend. I am your worst nightmare. I am the fear that lurks in the shadows. How do I plan to kill you? Now, that would be telling. Just think of the most horrible death you can imagine. I promise I will go you one better. You have my word. Do you think being burned alive is an awful way to die? For me, that's nothing. Do you cringe at the thought of being eaten alive? To me, that's child's play. What I have in mind for you is so unthinkable, so grotesque, so chilling that I dare not even whisper it aloud. It scares me, and sometimes I wonder if I'm depraved enough to carry it out, but of course I am. My childhood was lonely. My parents abandoned me. I never had any friends. Nobody cared about me. I grew to hate the world and everybody in it. I used to lock myself in my room and dream of ways to kill every person I met. Then I got older and realized I could make my dreams come true. Doctors and psychiatrists examined me. They told me I was insane. They told me I was just hopelessly mad, and maybe they were right. But in this world, you have to be mad just to go on living sanely. They tried to lock me up in an asylum. I fooled them all. As soon as their backs were turned, I escaped, and I've been on the run ever since. I changed my name. I changed my face. I blended in with all the other poor slobs who stumble through this life. What will become of your body when I kill you? I don't know. I don't really care. When I strike, the unspeakable atrocities I will perpetrate on your helpless body will be enough to make a corpse turn red with shame. But don't worry, you won't see any of that, because when I finally kill you, you won't have any eyes. And now, I'm waiting for you, just as you're waiting for me. I live for your death, and you must live forever in fear of me. It could happen in 1 second, 1 minute, or 1 hour. I may wait a week, a month, maybe even a year. At any moment I could come for you. There is nowhere you can feel safe.
not in the comfort of your own bed, not in the privacy of your own shower, not at a school or at your job, not at work or at play, not where you eat or even where you shop, not even where you pray. No matter where you are, I am always chasing you. I am always on your trail, always over your shoulder, always at your heels. Now you know what true fear really is. So look for me whenever you walk down a deserted alley. Glance behind yourself. I am the fear that lurks in the shadows, and you cannot hide from me, because sooner or later, I'm gonna kill you. It's just a matter of time.
If you like what you heard, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. If you'd like to, you can follow me at Twitter. The handle is @FuzzyPantaloons, and I'll see you all next time.